So Matt Bergman, an attorney, law professor, philanthropist, and community activist, and also founder of the Social Media Victims Law Center and an adjunct professor of law at Lewis and Clark Law School, is here with us. He is a national leader in social media litigation and currently represents 1,700 plaintiffs in state and federal courts throughout the United States. Matt, we are so glad you're able to make it, and you don't have that much time, but we want you to take as much time as you need to share your expertise with the crowd.
Well, it's lovely to be here. Anyone who said that travel is glamorous is living in the Mad Men era. But I just wanted to throw out a couple questions to all of you in terms of whether something should be actionable or not. If a toy manufacturer made a toy for kids that had asbestos in it, and kids were exposed to that asbestos and developed mesothelioma, wouldn't you think that that toy company ought to be sued? If a youth hostel published online the photographs of every minor staying in that youth hostel, what room she was in, and how to contact her on her cell phone, wouldn't that be actionable? If a video arcade manufacturer, a video arcade would had a room in the back where people could come and sell drugs with anonymity, and it continued to profit from those sales, knowing that drug sales were going on, wouldn't that entity be liable? Of course they would. So what is it about social media that doesn't bear the liability, the responsibility that every other company in America has? It's one thing, and it's one thing only. It's Section 230, a law that was passed when Netscape was the biggest browser, when Mark Zuckerberg was in junior high school and Google didn't exist. And yet, because of the way that law was interpreted by courts, social media companies did not have any of the normal guardrails that any other responsible company or irresponsible company, but economically rational company would have. That is why you have the kind of horror that you just heard from the prior panel. Why is it that young African American men are deluged with videos when they're seeking music, promoting gang violence, promoting guns? It's because they profit from the engagement and know that material that is psychologically discordant triggers a bigger dopamine hit. That's why they do it. You know, and when I listen to people talk about what can we do to convince social media companies to change their behavior, well, we've tried everything in the book, right? We've tried moral persuasion. But what we know is that given the economic model that these companies operate under, engagement is the coin of the realm. Anything that impacts engagement hurts the bottom line. And so what I want to do is kind of problematize that in juxtaposition to any other company. People think I'm a trial lawyer, woo-woo liberal, but, I'm going to preach to you basic conservative Milton Friedman, Richard Posner economics. The purpose of product liability is simply to put the cost of safety in the hands of the party most capable of making the product safe. If an automobile manufacturer could save $500 million a year by putting bad brakes on the car, but knew that it would subject itself to liability, it would change its behavior. It could be the most munificent company in the world. It could be the most mercurial company in the world, but simply operating under economic self-interest, it would change its behavior. It is my proposition to this group that in the absence of civil liability, we are not going to effectuate meaningful change by social media companies. So what we embarked upon 2.5 years ago in social media litigation was to harness my experience as a asbestos product liability lawyer to take the lessons that I've learned, but most importantly, learn from the defeats that are many that I sustained in the courtroom, to try to develop a paradigm to hold these companies accountable, to try to get around Section 230. What we did was we filed the first case in the country asserting product liability theory on behalf of an 11-year-old girl who killed herself on Snapchat after being subjected to sexual abuse by adults and bullying by key peers. And this was only one of many cases that we have had involving children who have taken their lives after being affirmatively promoted, received suicide-affirming content. And so we decided that, okay, Section 230 says you can't sue a company for hosting third-party content, for publishing third-party content. So what we did was we took a little deeper dive at how these products are built. And we said they are designed to engage people, and that the algorithmic design, utilizing operant conditioning, utilizing the known lack of maturity of the cortex of young people, utilizing the known fear that young people have of missing out, the sense of social belongingness, to enhance and utilize specific design characteristics that maximize engagement over the quality of the material that the kids get. Let's be clear. When you are on social media, you are not the customer. You're the product. They are selling your engagement. And when you are a 12-year-old girl looking for information on how to exercise, and shortly through these algorithmic designs are fed material telling you to hate your body, to telling you how to get by on 500 calories a day. When you are admitted to the hospital with a heart rate of 40 and check into the hospital and are received material from TikTok telling you how to hide your eating addiction from your doctor. This is intentional design. This is not third-party content. So that is the theory on which we have proceeded. And we represent, and until this work started, these cases weren't even getting started. They were getting thrown out before they even got past the motion to dismiss. And as a consequence, the public never found out until Frances Haugen's brave revelations what these companies know about what their platforms are doing to kids and how they keep doing it. Thanks to Frances Haugen, we were able to get started, and now we have collected through discovery. We got past the motion to dismiss in federal court, in state court. We got a passed motion to dismiss in an action against Snapchat, seeking to hold them liable for 180 fentanyl deaths of children who purchased drugs that were contaminated with fentanyl. We got by it in Buffalo when we represented the families of the shooting victims who were slaughtered in a racist rampage by an 18-year-old boy who was radicalized online. An 18-year-old boy, by the way, who had no history of racist influences in his family until he got online. For all of these reasons, we have just started. We're moving toward trial, and we are doing what we can. We have produced over 4 million documents. They're currently still subject to a protective order, but I will say that there will come a time when they come to light, and everything you think that the social media companies know is even worse. We have deposed people. We have placed them under oath. They have had to account for why they manufacture a product that they don't even allow their own children to watch. And we will have the opportunity to test our theories in front of a jury. Now, guess what? These companies are not going quietly into the night. They have mounted every conceivable effort to thwart responsibility. Through a perversion of science and a degradation of plaintiffs. This is what we hear. It's the kids' fault. The kids are screwed up anyway. It's only screwed up kids who have adverse impacts from social media, let alone the fact that 30% of young people have mental health challenges. We don't say that if a drunk driver plows into a hemophiliac, the drunk driver is any less likely and any less responsible. That's the first thing we hear. The second thing we hear is, well, most kids do okay with social media. And that's kind of like saying, most airplanes don't crash. But if you have the brakes that fail on a car one time out of 1,000, that's a bad car. And in this case, we have, so the admitted truth that most people are able to use, most women who took thalidomide didn't, it worked for most of them. There were just a few kids that developed, birth defects. The other thing we hear, and we hear this again and again, is what I call kind of the perversion of scientific integrity. Good scientists, like the people in this room, operate cautiously. They don't pontificate. They base their conclusions on research and appropriately nuance them. But what we're hearing from social media companies is the perversion of that by saying, well, we're only talking about correlations. Correlations don't cause, that's not causal. Or, the fact that there might be some other causes, or that you can't prove to 100% certainty that social media causes mental health harm in every single kid, that somehow excuses that. So I would submit to this group that be careful that your scientific integrity not be exploited by social media companies that will try to drive a wedge between your integrity and the objectives. And finally, you hear that this is all a hoax by lawyers like myself. And what I would say to that is, this has been the most incredible journey I have been on in 30 years of law practice. I always regretted being too young to have been a civil rights lawyer in Mississippi in 1962. I feel like in this work, which is rare as a lawyer, the good and the bad is so clear. The opportunity to be right and to do the right thing, to me, is a blessing. I am incredibly inspired by the people that I represent. I have never had clients more worthy or more strong or more brave than these parents who have lost children and have the bravery to go to Congress, to go to the media, to stand up and relive their trauma day after day. And when you talk to them, you say, this is a tough case. I don't know if they're going to win. And they all say the same thing. They say, if one life is saved, if one family is spared, it's all worth it. So the guiding principle when I do this work, and I will say that this work is, those of you who work with these victims know, the vicarious trauma is real, it is palpable, but I believe it is the most important thing that I have ever done in my professional career. I'm guided by, in times of stress and in times of trauma, vicarious trauma, the passage in the Talmud that says, if you save one life, you save the world. Thank you.